Gail? Hey, how you doing? Good. Listen, the Otter County Sheriff's Office. We just want to see if we can talk to you for a couple of minutes.
No, yeah.
Okay. You have any idea what we want to talk to you about? Because I kind of think you might.
Well, my parents said that you were at their house.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think that's about?
It was about a baby.
Yeah. What about?
A baby that was left.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about it?
The baby she mentioned here was her own newborn son, who she left to die in the freezing cold woods within hours of him being born. The woman you have just seen was Gail Eastwood Ritchey, a 49-year-old wife and mother of 3 who lived in Euclid, Ohio. But as you go through this video, you will unravel a whole new side to this innocent-looking woman. In March 1993, a month before she turned 23 years old, she tossed her newborn baby boy in a discreet location on the side of Sidley Road in Geauga County, Ohio. She heartlessly wrapped the child in a garbage bag a few moments after he was born and left him in a remote area, hidden from unsuspecting passing vehicles. On March 25, 1993, 2 newspaper delivery women found him and called the police.
Just hope they find who did it. I hope they're punished. Because there are a lot of people out there that want babies. They could have gave it up for adoption or something.
The child was left with no chance to survive and unfortunately was found dead. But this stirred up very strong emotions in the people of the county, and the case became very popular at the time. Even the sheriff who worked on the case at the time was devastated beyond measure.
The first thing got to me when I looked at it, I said, why? How? We wanted to know, was the child alive or was it born dead?
The community even came forward and raised funds in order to have a proper funeral and tombstone for the baby. And since the baby had no identity, the tombstone called him Geauga's child, named after the county that claimed him as their own. All efforts were made to locate the mother of the child, but to no avail, and the case went cold. But this was until 2019, when familial DNA testing brought about big revelations. By this time, Gail was happily married to her husband, Mark Ritchey, who had been her boyfriend at the time of the crime and had also been the father of the baby. The DNA of Geauga's child was put through a genetic genealogy study, and the police quickly focused on the possible mother and visited her home for further inquiry.
We just want to see if we can talk to you for a couple of minutes.
No, yeah.
Okay.
It was about a baby.
Yeah. What about?
A baby that was left.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about it? We're not here to judge you, Gail. We don't know what was going on at the time. We don't want to speculate either, okay? So I don't think you want us to speculate. We're not here to arrest you, okay? We are here to take your DNA, okay? And we would like for you to tell us your side of the story, because we'd like to know. As of right now, you're not under arrest. You're not going to be arrested today. But we want to know what was going on. I think after 26 years, it's time. Don't you? It's had to be weighing on you.
Should we go inside?
Well, what we'd like to do is get your DNA, okay? And then we would like for you to come back to our sheriff's office so that we can talk. You're not being arrested, okay? But we need to sit down and we need to hear your side of the story. Okay? All right, so I'm going to get my stuff real quick. We're going to take your DNA here. I have a signed search warrant from a Geauga County Criminal Police judge. Okay, and I will give you a copy of that warrant. You will have a copy for you to keep The DNA process is a very non-invasive process. I'm sure your parents probably told you. Just swipe a Q-tip on the inside of your mouth. We'll collect it real quick. Then we'll go back to the sheriff's office. And at some point today, we'll bring you back here. Okay?
So far, the officers had only suspected her, but her reaction was a confirmation of her culpability. They still do a direct DNA test of her and Giaga's child to confirm that Gail was, in fact, the mother. She looked like she was finally revisiting the time she discarded her newborn child 26 years ago. To the detective's surprise, the couple only lived half an hour away from where the baby was found.
I was at work. I was a nanny for a family in Shaker Heights. I was waiting for them to come home from school. I hadn't been feeling well at all that day. The next thing I knew, I was giving birth to a baby in the toilet. I didn't know what to do. The kids hadn't gotten home from school yet.
Okay.
The only thing I could think of was to put the baby in a bag. I have no idea what this was. I never looked at it. Out to my car. I placed it in the trunk. And I cleaned up the bathroom.
Was the baby still in a bag at that time? Or did you put it in something else?
Put it in a bag.
Like a garbage bag?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. And then I went home.
Where were you living at the time?
My parents. I was still
on
at home.
Harwich there?
Yeah. I wasn't sure what to do. No one knew. Then we had and I don't know the time frame from when to when, but camps that were associated with koinonia out here. I came out with our youth group for a weekend. And I got in my car. I left the camp for a while. I got in my car.
From Camp Koinonia?
Yes.
I have trouble sitting there. I apologize.
Yes. I got in my car and just drove. I don't know where I ended up. And I just ended up stopping on a road. I don't know which road. And I took the bag out of the trunk. And I laid it in the woods.
This is a woman who is speaking about throwing away her newborn baby. But you'll not see any expressions of grief or guilt unless she talks about herself. It's shocking that she has been described as a loving mother to her 3 children when she was capable of such a monstrous act towards her first child. In the clip shown, she cries a little, but that is not in relation to the baby. Rather, it's because she's looking back and feeling sorry for herself, as she did not know what to do. When it comes to the baby, she couldn't care less. Gail does not even remember the day her child was born, regardless of what she went on to do with him. Giaga's child was a little boy, but she seems to have wiped the child from her memory.
Did you ever follow or read any stories or anything, in the news or seeing news clipping, stories or anything like that about anything?
I did not.
No.
I did not know the baby was found.
Okay. At what point do you know that the baby was found? Was it recently? Was it a long time ago? Or
no? You were at my parents,
so that's the first time that you had known that the baby was found.
That a baby was found.
Now, getting back to, you said you were at this family's house in Shaker Heights when the baby was born, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember their name or where they lived at?
I do.
Okay. What was their name?
I'd rather not.
And why is that?
Just so
Well, you gotta understand, Gail, we need to kind of verify some things, and I'm not trying to give you a hard time, but, obviously what you've told us, but we need to go back and try to verify some of those things. It's been a long time, so, and you said it was during the week, correct? Because the kids weren't home from school yet?
That is correct.
And so you were kind of a nanny in the afternoon?
I was a nanny all day.
All day, okay. But you said some of the kids went to school?
There were 2 children.
There's 2 children, and they would go off to school?
Yes.
And then what time would they come home from school?
3:30.
And you would stay till about what time?
6. Usually 6.
6 o'clock, and then you would go, and that's when you went home from there?
Yes.
Okay. So, do you remember what day it was? Was it Thursday maybe or Friday?
I honestly don't remember the day or the month.
But you said you went to a weekend camp that weekend, right?
I don't know if it was that weekend. It may have been a whole week.
Okay.
Gail is upfront when giving information about herself, but the detectives find it difficult to get her cooperation when they ask about other people's statements. She refuses to give the information of the family she babysat for at the time because she does not wish to embarrass herself.
How long before you moved into that house do you say the baby was born? Was it months, weeks, years?
Well, it was in winter.
It was in winter? So was it like that winter before you moved in? Or was it a couple winters before?
It may have been January of that year. I don't.
But you think it was that year in '93 when you moved into the house? I don't remember what year it was. Okay. But it was cold and snowy.
I guess it could have been at the end of '92, maybe December of '92, but the kids would have been home for Christmas break, so it must have been January of '93.
January of '93, somewhere around there, that the baby was actually born.
Yeah.
Okay. Were you active with anybody else besides Mark prior to that?
I was not.
No. So you're confident that Mark is the father?
Mark's the father, yeah.
Okay. Now, getting back to the how the baby was born and placed in the bag.
I did not cut it.
Well, how did that umbilical cord get cut then?
I don't know. I didn't cut it.
You didn't cut it?
No.
You're positive of that?
I am.
And obviously we're talking about 26 years, so there's, as you said, some things that you're not real.
Yes, I
sure.
understand.
But there's no possible way that you cut that umbilical cord.
I'm almost certain I didn't.
Is it impossible, or are you positive that you didn't cut that umbilical cord? Because there's a couple of things that, Gail, you've told us a lot, but there's a couple of things that I am kind of struggling with. And some of that is to do with the baby, because a full autopsy was done. The baby was found. Obviously, that's clear enough. And the umbilical cord was cut, and the coroner's report can show that the baby was born alive, and that the baby had taken breaths. So that tells me that the baby was moving, and there known for some time that you were pregnant. At least a couple months when you're mentioning and you're afraid to tell your parents that you were pregnant. So you had known for some time that you were pregnant. So at least for a couple months, correct? Can I say that? You said initially you didn't know you were pregnant. You were still having your menstrual cycles, and that does happen.
I also think because of that, I didn't know how far along I was.
But you hadn't told anybody.
I had not.
And you weren't sure what to do.
I was not.
And I mean, did you intend on having the baby, or I mean, what were your intentions? Should have kind of come unexpectedly that day, but it sounds like you had made your mind up that you weren't in the right spot at the time. You weren't telling anybody. This was kind of what you were planning on doing, for lack of better words.
I suppose.
I mean, had you planned on? I mean, what were your plans when you found out you're pregnant? And
I don't know. I don't know what. I don't remember. I don't know what my intentions were.
I mean, were you gonna? I mean, at least for some period of time, you know you're pregnant and you're gonna keep this baby, or you're gonna tell Mark at some point. Or you're just going to get rid of it and act like it never happened?
I'm not sure. I've never been good with confrontation.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I've always tended to keep things to myself to avoid confrontation. So I'm not sure what. I don't know if I ever had a plan or what I was going to do, or I don't remember.
What do you think Mark would have said if you would have told him at the time?
I'm not sure.
Had you thought about that? Like what you're going to tell Mark, or when the baby came?
I don't even know if I thought about it. I don't know. I don't know if I was going to tell him, or
did you think there was going to be confrontation with him when you told him?
Not in a bad way, but I've always had trouble dealing with situations.
If the murder was planned, this changes everything in the interrogation. The role of the investigation is to ensure that they're getting all the relevant information and that nothing is left out. But the fact that Gail was menstruating for some months even after getting pregnant is in her favor. It's possible that she did not expect to deliver the child when she did and discarded the baby because she was shocked and ill-prepared. If that was the case, it's possible that the sudden surge of stress may have caused her to shut down and become detached. However, it's hard to ignore her reaction as she makes her statement. She has had a lot of time to process her crime, and even now, confronted by her past, she lacks remorse. She piercingly looks into the eyes of the interrogators, and she gives the most bleak details of the day.
So for basically the last 26 years, you've just kind of kept this bottled up inside?
Yeah.
Is there anybody that you've confided in or knew that you were pregnant? Or
I have not.
Nobody knew that you were pregnant?
Nobody knew I was pregnant.
You've never told anybody about it?
Never told anyone about it.
How about Mark? How do you think he's going to deal with finding out what happened?
I'm not sure.
What do you think he's going to say about it?
I'm not sure.
How do you think he should go about finding out?
Well, I'm hoping that I can tell him.
Okay. And what would you say to him?
I think I would just go through what we just went through and tell him.
And you're not sure how he's going to take that?
Sure, he'll be upset.
Do you think he deserved any decision back then? Or any right to know and be a part of that decision that you made for the two of you?
Back then, I didn't know what to do. Today, it's a whole different.
I understand that you may have made a different choice knowing what you know now, but do you think that it doesn't really answer the question? Do you think that he deserved the right to have a choice in that decision that you made for the two of you?
Yeah.
What do you think his choice would have been back then if he would have known?
May have been accepting of it.
So he wasn't really given that opportunity.
Yeah.
Is it because he would have wanted you to keep it?
No.
Yeah. So you think he would have wanted you to keep it?
Probably.
Detectives have realized that Mark is Gail's stress point. Any extraction of information can be done by leveraging Mark's name. For 26 years, Gail has kept the biggest secret imaginable, but she does not break down. One of the few instances in which we see a reaction from her is when she's afraid that she may upset Mark with her actions. She mentions that in her mind, the worst case scenario while abandoning her child back then was Mark's reaction, and that he may have left her had she not done what she went on to do to the baby. She confesses that she regrets not telling Mark about the birth, but not because she's guilty, but rather because she's scared that he will leave her now that he hears about what she did. Even though she tries to make Mark look like the motivation behind her killing, that is barely a passable excuse for what she's done.
Was there ever a time prior to the incident we're talking about today that you ever thought you could have been pregnant?
No.
You said that you and your husband, did you like him when you were 16? Did you guys date a little bit when you were 16?
We did.
What caused you guys to separate? You said you separated
He
as well.
didn't ask me out anymore.
Okay, so you went on like a couple dates, or were you guys kind of,
Yeah.
exclusively seeing each other?
Oh yeah, no, just a couple dates.
On a couple dates?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You guys have like an argument or a disagreement over something specific?
No, he just never called to ask me out again. And then I reached out to him.
After a period of time?
Mm-hmm.
And how long was that period of time?
Oh, I don't know. I was 17.
What made you reach out to him?
Well, I liked him.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious if he'd go back out with me again.
And you said, obviously, during the time around this event and before that, you were really active with your husband now, your boyfriend at the time. When were you guys first active?
Not till maybe 18.
When you were 18?
Yeah.
Okay.
In light of new information, the way the prosecution can proceed has changed. According to Mark, Gail had told him about a pregnancy, but this was way before 1993, when Giaga's child was found. He also told them that Gail had been seeing a doctor regularly for the same reason. He knew this for a fact and told the detectives that at the time he had been regularly taking updates from Gail for the same. But according to Gail, not only had she never been pregnant before 1993, but Mark was also not aware of this. This makes the detectives believe that Gail must have rendered the same fate to another innocent life. But if she did that once before, it would also prove that the murder of Giaga's child was premeditated. If she had done this before, then this would significantly change her prison sentence. She would no longer be able to defend herself with the argument that it was due to shock that she acted in such a cold and detached manner.
What about his family? Are they...
Oh, God. Can only imagine. We have a wonderful family.
But how do you think they're going to react? Would you be concerned for your safety from their family?
Not my
family?
safety, no. No, I think I'll be spoken to again.
Where do you think the safest place for you would be right now?
We're not so sure it would be back with Mark. I'm not saying it's not safe, but we're not sure how he's going to deal with that. This is something, obviously you've known this and battled with it for 26 years. This is something that has been literally dropped in his lap today out of nowhere. And I don't know how he's going to react to that. And we're concerned for him and for you. We have no intentions of running out of here telling anybody what the crux of our conversation was today. However, you have to understand over the last 26 years, this was a very big case. And in that regard, I don't know how you didn't know about it. There's been news stories, newspaper articles, a news story that some of the original investigators did on the news. It was probably a 12, 15-minute article that they did on the news. So this is something that was and is something today very big in the community here in Geauga County. There's people that, like we said, donated clothes. They donated the burial expenses. There's a headstone.
Yeah, there's a headstone and a memorial. They did a ceremony and did a headstone and memorial. And your child is referred to as Giaga's baby.
Because so many members of the community donated different things for your child. And they maintain that gravestone. So this is something that is very big in the community. And with that being said, we are concerned for your welfare and what is the best place for you. So where do you think the best place would it be with your sister, maybe?
Probably not.
No. Why do you think that? We have not told her. We did have a search warrant for her DNA as well, but we did not execute that today. So we have not made contact with her. We've only made contact with you and your husband today.
At this point, she's extremely triggered because now for a while, they have been talking about how her husband will react. And from the start, that has been the most dire consequence for her. But Gail is not prepared for what's coming next. She has not even started thinking about the reaction from the community. This is the same community that was so involved with the baby from the minute it was found. They have been stewing in anger for years, and finally the culprit had been identified. They did not know that this criminal had been living amongst them all along. The detectives fear for her safety as she will not be arrested for now. They expect a very aggressive reaction from the community.
Is the fact that obviously now we had a search warrant for your DNA. All right, and we have your DNA, and that is not only going to be compared into the child, but also into the database. And there are many, unfortunately, other cases out there. And your DNA is going to be in the system. It's going to be compared to all those cases. And now is the time, if there is anything else, that you need to get it out there. You've come, clean with this, what's happened here. You've told us what's happened. If there is anything else that your DNA is going to link you to, because unfortunately there are other baby cases that happened and those are still open. And then there's other homicide cases here in Geauga County and in Asheville County and Lake County. And now that we have your DNA, it's going to be compared to all those cases. It's going to be in that system. So if there is any other issues out there that we need to talk about, now is the time to do it. Because I'm not getting warm and fuzzy that this isn't the only time, that there may be some more times. And it's going to be compared to all those other cases, Gail. And the last thing you want to do is say that you came in here and be honest with us because, part of what happens is, truth in sentencing and showing genuine remorse and coming clean. And if there are other issues, now's the time that we need to talk about it. And I truly believe that you know that there is other issues. And we're here to listen. We're not here to judge you. We're not yelling and screaming. But you know and I know this isn't the only time. That there's more times that this has happened. And now is the time that you need to tell us about those, Gail. How many other times has this happened?
One other time.
One other time? And when was that? Was it before or after this child?
Before.
Before. Is that what Mark was talking about, the 1991? Because he had told our investigators in 1991 that there was another pregnancy that he was aware of.
I didn't tell him I was pregnant. So he may have known.
Finally, Gail has confessed to killing a second infant. When the detectives questioned Gail before, they stressed on it because it's their responsibility to explore every angle. However, they did not expect it to be entirely true. There were aspects of Mark's statement that did not fit Gail's confession. Mark was aware of a pregnancy at some point, but it was before 1993. The detectives thought that Mark may have confused the year, and it may be a dead end, but Gail puts that suspicion to rest and confirms the facts of a second murder. The detectives are shocked, but they try to maintain a professional demeanor.
When was this previous pregnancy?
Probably about that time.
About the 1991 time?
How old were you at the time? Would you remember that? Would that be easier to remember?
20, 21.
Okay.
20.
Explain that situation to us.
Tell us what happened. Is it Mark's child as well?
It is.
Okay. And tell us what happened on that situation.
Pretty much the same situation, other than I had the baby at his rental house.
And where's his rental house?
It was Euclid.
Euclid? Is that in Harwich?
Huh?
What street was that on?
No, it's where he was living in 248th Street.
Okay.
He rented from his brother.
Mm-hmm.
He gave birth to it in the toilet.
Is that a boy or a girl?
I don't know.
You don't know.
And I never.
You didn't want to know?
I never looked.
Okay.
I don't know.
What happened after you gave birth to the child?
I did the same thing. Put it in a garbage bag.
And what did you do with the garbage bag?
I left it.
What do you mean you left it? What does that mean, Gail?
I took it and left it over by medical buildings in Euclid.
Where did you leave it exactly?
There's a road called Brush Road. Goes up behind very tall medical buildings that are there. And I just left it over in the tall grass.
Kind of like field area you left in the tall grass?
Yeah.
What time of year was this?
Summer. I think it was summer.
Summer, and you think you're 21? Do you remember what year it would have been?
Gail's family and close friends spoke highly of her and were in disbelief that she was capable of this. They spoke about her good temperament and how dedicated she was to her role as a wife and a mother. People were stunned when they heard that she killed not one, but two of her babies. This first baby, too, was wrapped in a garbage bag right after birth and thrown out in the wild like its unnamed sibling. Giaga's child had a sibling, one that met a similar fate. And the worst part is that at least Giaga's child was loved and remembered, even if it was by strangers. It's been so long since the first infant was dumped that the likelihood of finding even the remains of the baby is near impossible. Mark, their 3 children, and other family members will now have to live with the fact that they will never be whole. Part of their family was kept a secret from them, a decision that Gail took alone.
So, and you birthed that child as a full-term baby?
I believe so.
But it looked full-term?
I don't think I even looked at it.
Well, you had to, you grabbed it, you moved it, you had to have seen it. Whether or not you're blocking that out of your memory because you don't want to see it, but you did see it.
Okay.
And, but it was, you believe it was a full-term baby? Not sure. Well,
I'm not sure.
You went into like normal labor, right?
I think so.
Right. And that was in 1991.
Yeah.
And how do you know the difference between that child and the child that we found? I mean, what is so distinguishable? Was it because of the location? That's what reminded you of, the child that you birthed on 248th and the child that you birthed at the home in Shaker Heights? But it's very similar in nature how it happened, right?
Yeah.
Though Giaga's baby went without justice for 26 years, fortunately there was enough forensic evidence to prove the facts of the case. Advancements in DNA testing brought Gail, the culprit, in front of the jury, and the fact that the baby had been alive after he was born was enough to present this as a murder. The remains of the first child were not found, and hence they were not presented. The decision was made to not reference the first baby so it could not influence the jury. Finally, 51-year-old Gail Eastwood Ritchey was convicted of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole after 15 years on May 24, 2022. Judge Andre, who gave the ruling on her case, had the following to say in the end.
Your wrongful efforts to conceal what happened in February 1993 did buy you 29 years of normal life where you got the chance to get married, raise children, and do some good works. But ultimately you gained that time on the back of a helpless infant whose body you concealed in the woods. Ironically, Giaga's child did more for you than you ever did for him, probably. Your freedom is over. It is finally time to atone for these awful, unnecessary deeds committed 3 decades ago. So I sentence you to life in prison with the possibility of parole in 15 years.
The county of Giaga was heartbroken when they discovered an infant on the side of the road in 1993. There were numerous possibilities as to what brought this child to an untimely fate, but at least there was hope that maybe, somewhere out there, a mother missed her child. But this community of big-hearted people took it in as their own. But when the truth came out, it was worse than their imagination. A monster of a mother who did not care enough to look at the baby, let alone name it. Do you think that Gail got the sentence she deserved, or perhaps do you think she was the victim after all? Share your thoughts below.
She keeps threatening me.
Stop.
Well, she keeps threatening me.
Stop it.
Well, she keeps on threatening me. I have stopped it.
This is the exact moment when this evil mother, Letecia Stauch, was caught for killing her 11-year-old stepson, Gannon Stauch. On January 27, 2020, Gannon went out playing with his friends but never returned home. It was already night, and 36-year-old Letecia decided to call 911.
Paso County 911. My son was going to be home at 6 o'clock, and it's almost 7. He's only 11.
Okay. What's his name?
Gannon.
When was he last seen?
Maybe around like 3:30, maybe.
Has this ever happened before?
No. So we went to the neighbor's house. My daughter just went to Stingray Park, and he's not there.
Calling 911 after just an hour of the child not being home may seem hasty, but not unless Letecia already knew something that no one else did. The police arrived at the Stauch residence in El Paso County.
I took the covers that he was laying down, and I just threw it on there because I got my daughter out and the dog's out. She was working, and it was something.
You got everybody now.
I know. It was something that we were just like.
Did he take his bike?
No.
Okay, because somebody saw a little kid on a bike. They posted it, but I didn't know if he brought it.
Well, he did, unless he took it sooner and brought it back, because Lena ends up getting a bike.
Okay.
And rides the bike because hers had broke. When she ran into him, I say ran into him as in not physically,
right.
But she somehow got his bike because hers wouldn't work. So he could have at one point.
So they were here.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were supposed to go pick him up for dinner.
Blue
And he never
black.
went home. They thought he was at his friend's house. He was like,
yeah.
They started sleeping, so
We
they were
we
gonna
have
pick
him
down
on
the road.
one.
And he was never there.
There's
And he never
one
went to his
picture
friend's
someone
house.
said he was on.
Okay.
And he was taking the switch.
Do you mind if my partner looks around the house real quick?
Yeah.
Because kids, they hide. And
Thank you.
Oh,
They can hide for hours.
Yeah, no, we've already checked the camp,
Is there any other kids here?
Yeah, there's kids here. I say kids here.
There's my sister and 2 dogs.
Okay.
Yeah, no, he's definitely, he was out there because they left and blah, blah, blah.
Letecia's behavior seemed suspicious from the very beginning. Detectives looked around the house to learn more. Maybe Gannon was just hiding somewhere in the house, or maybe they were about to find something truly horrific.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was wrong. I think did I bring my thing in here? I think it might be in here.
Behind this door was where Gannon's lifeless body had been laid. After stabbing and shooting little Gannon, Letecia had temporarily stored his body in this very same garage.
Sir, I think it might be in the car, so whenever you're...
What might be in your car?
He wants my ID.
Oh, okay. Was this the car you guys had with you today?
Do what?
Was this the car you guys had with you today?
What do you mean with me today?
I mean, did you drive this car today?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I didn't drive that car today.
You did not drive this car
today.
Okay, okay. Has he ever hidden in anything like this before?
No, this is no. Oh, okay. That's all like
Letecia nervously entered as soon as the detective was getting closer to finding Gannon. Her tactics succeeded, and he failed to notice Gannon, and this failure would lead to an agonizing search for the boy, which went on for days and months. Meanwhile, on January 28, 2020, the day after Gannon's disappearance, his father, Albert Stauch, flew back early, worried sick after hearing about his child's disappearance.
He told her he was going to play, which they do all the time. Maybe he's 10 minutes late, but nothing like this. The big deal here is he's a homebody. He would rather be at home playing his little Nintendo or, watching cartoons. So he's not one just to walk off.
Nothing about Gannon's disappearance was adding up. People who followed the news online realized this as well. At this point, no one knew what had happened to Gannon, except for Letecia. When the news of Gannon's disappearance picked up, too many fingers online pointed at Letecia, but she lied her way through everything.
You are?
I am Letecia Stauch, which is Gannon's stepmother.
You've been a part of the investigation since the very first time. You were the last person to see him. Is that right?
Correct.
What did you see when you last saw him?
Well, I'm not allowed to talk about anything with the case. I would more so be willing to talk about how the community needs to have faith and continue to work together and not make these false accusations, like the things that have been said that I've disappeared from the community. I haven't been there to help, but there's lots of reasons behind that.
Reasons like death threats, right?
Right. Death threats are one of them. My family's getting lots of death threats. We counted over 20-some death threats already. 2, my husband's ex-wife is living in our home, and of course I'm not coming home to do these things and to help with the family when I was kind of like told I couldn't. And then many other things that happened with the El Paso County Police Department, and in doing the investigation I was told I wasn't complying. And can I elaborate on that?
Please do.
Yes. So I asked for an attorney during the interview, and I was denied that by them. I was held because they were blocking the door, and I was told I couldn't leave, and that if I would have touched them, they would have probably, said I still wasn't complying, or said I was, trying to run away or something. But during the interview, I asked several times, could I stop the interview? Could I get an attorney? Could I stop the interview? Could I get an attorney? I was denied. I was told I couldn't get nothing to drink. I couldn't go to the bathroom. I mean, it was continuously that my constitutional rights were violated.
The way that people are reacting online to rumors about you with the search.
Oh yes, wow. The rumors have gotten so bad. I pretty much have been told at least 10 different ways that these people have these conspiracy theories. I guess they watch a lot of law shows and maybe they have all these theories on how Gannon is dead. And that's what they're saying. So I'm like, why are you saying Gannon is dead? He is not dead. We are going to find Gannon. And that's the main goal that we all have, my family has. Just because you haven't seen us we have that same goal. And we've been out searching. My aunt has been out searching. My family has been out searching. We all have been doing that together so that we could protect each other.
How does it feel when not only you have a lost child who you are in care of, but then people blaming you for that child not being there?
You know, I'm just ready for Gannon to come home. Most importantly, for him to see his family. But second, I am going to be so ecstatic when I'm able to say to people that I hope they have a really sincere apology for all these theories that have came out online, for all the things they said that I have done or people have done. And I just want everyone to know that we're going to find Gannon. And I love him so much. I've helped taking care of him for so long. You know, he's always helpful, and he was always so helpful with the dogs around the house, and we have 2 little cute dogs, and he was always like a person I could say, Gannon, can you go do this? And he would do it right away. You know, sometimes with kids, we have to remind him and things like that, and that's okay, but he was so sweet and able to help anyone. He could notice when you're sick and say, are you okay? And such a kind heart.
All the interviews Letecia gave easily became about herself. After an extensive search, Gannon's body was found. On March 17, 2020, over 1,300 miles away from his home, his remains were discovered tucked under a Florida overpass bridge. But prior to this, on March 2nd, Letecia was finally arrested by the FBI in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. In the following interrogation, you are about to hear Letecia lie through her teeth while making up the most absurd stories. Watch on and see whether they sound convincing to you.
Did they inform you, the officers, of why you're under arrest?
I'm under arrest?
Yes.
For what?
For Gail Stauch. A warrant was issued out of Colorado.
Okay, but no, someone could have just called me and we didn't have to have like a big scene. I would have called you or whoever.
Yeah, and apologize for that. Because of the nature of the warrant, it being a murder warrant, and that's what I'd like to talk with you about today. That's why we're not having a cast of thousands here and whatever, is we would like to get to the bottom of what happened there. I know that a lot of things have gone on with your life, a little bit of how this turns out. Okay? But because you were arrested and you're not free to leave, I need you to sign an advice of rights before we can talk.
Well, I mean, so I'm getting charged with what now?
So you were charged in a judge in Colorado Springs signed off. So the way this case worked was El Paso County got the original case. They didn't have enough manpower to work it.
Okay.
So they called the FBI. I'm part of for the FBI, I'm an extension of the profiling unit, and I came in and assisted. And I've been helping for about the last 3 weeks.
Okay.
So our evidence response team, you've probably seen that on the news, has been doing some searches, etc. And then other FBI agents have been writing warrants.
Okay.
So a lot of warrants have been written. We've gone through the court. El Paso Sheriff's Office and FBI have worked together. And we found enough, you call it probable cause, for a warrant to be issued. So that's why you're here today.
Okay, a warrant for what, though?
It was for the murder.
What murder?
Gannon Stauch.
So Gannon is murdered.
That's what the evidence shows.
Okay.
And I'm happy to share with you evidence, but we can't have a conversation unless you're advised of your rights.
Okay, what are my rights?
Right from the beginning, it is obvious that Letecia has no intention of confessing, but she instead has some very interesting conspiracies to share. These conspiracy theories will make anyone's head spin. This case was also extremely high profile at the time, as a lot of people had gotten involved in the search for Gannon. And given that a child was involved, the FBI had taken over. The extremely patient agent Jonathan Grusing will do his best to retrieve more information about Gannon's whereabouts.
I was thinking of a lot of things to say to you today because I've been helping, I've been involved. I've unfortunately worked a lot of missing kids cases. That's why they called me to do this.
Okay.
A lot of time with Mark, who was the dad. Dylan, who actually was in Colorado Springs with Mom. Went to go see Dad. This was in November of 2012.
Right.
And then he disappeared. So it's a lot like what happened here.
Right.
What I think happened with Mark is friends, and Mark wouldn't let him go.
Okay.
And I think Mark got upset. I think Dylan did some things that irritated Mark. I think there was just a punch in the face sort of thing.
Right.
And I think things went downhill from there.
Well,
and I'm not saying
I
that's
just
what
want to
happened
say
with
to you,
you.
I can help you because what you're charging me with is not, or whoever, is not the case.
Okay.
Gannon is alive, okay, and I can help you.
Okay, great.
But see, here's the problem. When I reached out to people about getting help, I said, hey, I need someone who's going to help me to help you guys. I couldn't get that from anyone at all.
We're happy to help you.
Okay, so I understand you might say you have like whatever evidence that you might say you have, but that's not a case. I did not hurt my child, okay? Need more assistance besides just FBI. You're probably going to need some DEA, probably need a lot of help.
Well, I'm happy to get whatever help.
Okay.
How do you know?
But I can't help you unless people are willing to help me. And I did offer every opportunity to sit down and talk with not only my husband, but with Landon to try to come up with the best plan to do it. I really did. And I've been begging every single day, please, please, please don't say this. Okay? I know you're expert in your field. Okay? I know you may say you have whatever evidence you have, but it's just not true. Okay? Not. Okay, that's the truth.
Okay.
That is the very truth. And every day that went by, I had to do nothing but not only protect myself, but protect my family in this, protect other people in this, and that's just what it's been.
So I think our biggest problem is what happened at the house then.
At the house?
Yes.
Well, there's nothing that would have happened at the house that has anything to do with what I'm talking about at all. That has nothing to do with anything. Because you guys have like clearly put out this information about Gannon not coming home and then this and that and the other. And I get, like I said, you're experts. I get people with forensics are experts. I understand that. But it's just not the truth. It's just not the truth. And until I know that I gotta get help from some people other than someone just having me in a room.
You got to get help to do that.
I gotta get help to give everyone what they need because I'm gonna need my mom protected. Okay, I'm gonna need my brother and sister protected. And most importantly, I'm gonna need Harley protected. And on that same note, I'm also gonna need other people in Colorado protected. And see, people say FBI can offer that protection.
We can.
How?
If it involves if it involves finding an 11-year-old, then we can.
And it means that we can have new identities.
It does. Yeah. I've had to do that before. We call it an informant, but we can do it for the general public. Who else would you trust?
I don't know at this point, sir. I don't know.
Letecia has been highly influenced from all the crime shows she has watched, and that is strikingly evident in the interrogation. She does not want to be held accountable for her crimes, so she comes up with a story of gang violence to explain why Gannon went missing. The first suspect she names is someone called Eduardo, who bumped into Gannon while he was cycling, and Eduardo was so enraged by this that he kidnapped Gannon. In another story, she mentions a man named Quincy Brown who was also a member of a gang and broke into the Stauch residence, turning off the security cameras and stealing Al's gun to use it on Gannon. They allegedly knocked her unconscious. When she woke up, Gannon was gone. Hence, she also demands witness protection and a change of identity.
Do you think Al was faithful to you? Was he cheating on you?
We never had like any conversations until like, of course, Mad, like recently. But like prior to that, we never had like fusses or it might be something like Albert's the type of person when he got off work, he just liked to come home. He wasn't like, I'm gonna go do this with people. He just wasn't that type of person, and that was the good part because he wasn't. Not saying you can't. Like I know, sure you might say if a football game's on, you might want to go watch with your friends.
Right.
Usually, for the most part, we'd do it together or go over there and do something together. But it was never really like having our own people that we did things with and also kind of together. So we never like had issues or anything like that. Most of the time, but the issues that we always had was I never wanted the kids to ever come back here. A lot of times during like their breaks, and we would get like I don't want to say arguments about it, but he would always say, "Well, I have to. I'm obligated, to do these things." So
you don't think he was cheating on you prior to this whole thing going on with Gannon? Did you suspect?
That Albert was cheating on me?
Mm-hmm.
No. There's been times in the past where I saw that he's talked to other women, like on messages and things like that. But then he's also, like, you guys have my phone in the past, you would have saw that he's always apologized for, like those things, like saying.
Were you guys considering divorce, you and Albert?
I didn't know anything about any kind of divorce. Like, I know, like, we use the term loosely, because there was a lot of stress having to deal with, like, the situation with Landon. There was a lot of stress because, like, we fought so hard and so long to get kids to, like, a safe, situation. So it was very hard to, like, you've read someone and they're so emotionally, like, upset about the kids not being with us and we not being able to protect them that it was kind of hard. It took a lot, toll throughout that time frame of, like, Alaska. I'm sure you know about the time in Alaska and things like that. So during that time in Alaska and stuff like that, it was very hard to like have to see him be so upset from so many miles away. And, we get calls that kids didn't have a place to stay. We get calls that there was guns in the back of their car and people were being arrested. And so that took its toll in the terms of, like, figuring we should not have to, like, go through these things.
Right.
She claims she adored Gannon, which might be true, but there is a great deal of evidence that shows her trying to manipulate and scare Gannon. For example, in the video that we'll play next, Gannon had apparently lit a small fire by accident in the living room, and Letecia is confronting him about that. Gannon is visibly afraid, but instead of consoling him, she tries to scare him even more.
Well, devastating. Initially, Scott, I can't lie, when the TMZ information...
Gannon, I promise this is the last time I'm going to ask you. I'm just freaked out, okay? Are you sure you didn't do it on purpose?
He did it.
Okay, you promise. You promise.
On purpose.
Pinky promise.
Pinky.
Okay, all right. So listen. We're gonna have to sell stuff to fix it. Okay. So we figure out what we gotta sell. We can sell the sofa. We can sell whatever, because we gotta get it fixed. So, lady, don't be mad at us and kick us out the house. Okay. You got it?
It is normal for a parent to get angry at a child for such mishaps, but what Letecia ended up doing to Gannon makes you wonder if her interactions prior to his death were nearly as innocent.
There's no...
No, I'm not saying you did, or he hurt himself. Something bad happened in his room.
No.
Have you seen the...
Sir.
You helped clean it off the wall.
Sir,
we know that.
This here, what you're talking about is completely irrelevant about the whole thinking mad, whatever.
Tell me about, if it's irrelevant, Letecia, help me. Because there's a big blood pool in the corner, there's spray on the wall.
Because if I tell you anything about any of that, all you're going to say to me is, hey, da-da-da-da.
If you didn't do it, no, I will be your advocate. Because why, do we know each other?
No, but
Why would I care? If you didn't do it, and it helps me find Gannon?
I didn't do it.
Okay, well then help me find out who did.
Who did what?
That to Gannon in his room.
Done what to Gannon in his room?
There's a pool of blood in the corner.
Okay.
That's Gannon's blood.
Okay, so you're saying, now this is where I have a hard time knowing whether you're like, okay, trust you or not, right? You're saying there's a pool of blood. Albert said saucer-sized blood, because I'm sure you had him say all this, because I'm sure you were there, or whatever. Okay. In his room, and you said something about, what'd you say?
On the wall.
Okay. Then, if that's your whatever, your expert advice, or
there's
whatever.
More blood.
Okay. Then, where do you think that I had any involvement with Gannon, and where did he go? That's where it has to click at some point. That.
Because in here I even have what you entered in your phone. The stuff that you've entered and deleted. Like, blood is spurting from an arterial bleed, direct pressure not controlling.
Do what? I didn't look this up.
It's from your phone.
Blood is what?
spurting from an arterial bleed?
No.
Well, somebody did from your phone. I don't like my stepson?
No.
I don't like my stepson. Should I get a divorce? I'll stalk cheating. I'll stalk Instagram. I'll stalk cheating in Colorado Springs. Catch I'll stalk cheating. How to get blood out of sheets.
Out of sheets?
Mm-hmm. I want immunity.
Oh, the blood out of sheets was because we always had always nosebleeds. If I ever looked up blood out of sheets, it was nosebleeds.
And I figured it might be something.
I didn't ever look up anything about an artery or something unless it went from something else.
It's on your phone.
And I never looked up anything about my stepson unless someone else did.
The reason I brought up gangs is you looked up, I want immunity because it was gang related. And this sounds like, find me a new husband, find me a rich guy who wants to take care of his kids.
The new husband is just because Albert already knew that was about the lady Debbie Sherrill who wanted to find a new husband after 35 or something. He picked me about Amazon.
And like a lot of these can have nothing to do with this.
It doesn't.
I get it. Can I spray paint wood?
Spray paint wood? Well, we always spray wood.
Yeah. I'm doing all the work for my stepkids and their mom doesn't help.
Oh, that bothered me. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame
Oh,
you.
yes, because I wanted them to be mine. Like
what about
me to be their child.
Hit and run? You Googled a lot on Letecia and traffic accident, hit and run.
And I didn't hit anybody.
No? What was that?
What date was it?
I don't have a date on these. I was downloading stuff as I was coming on the plane.
Yeah, no, I don't.
My husband wants a divorce. My husband wants a baby, but I want an abortion. One day, some people will wish they treated you differently, which I get that. Parenting should be for people, not one. Quotes a suicidal person might say. I mean, these make me very sad when I read them because I can see you're doing all the work at home by yourself.
Which I wanted to be there. Like, I wanted to totally have the kids as my children. That's the point you're not getting. Like, I wanted those kids to be saying to me that I'm their mom.
Yeah.
Like, I am the person who cares for them, loves them, everything. So you can think that.
What do you do if you suspect a person swallowed poison? Did somebody actually swallow poison?
Poison? I don't know. I always click things and read them.
Did somebody swallow it?
No one swallowed any poison.
Okay. You will never forgive me and treat me like a princess. You'll never know when it's too late.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I always search for things when Albert was gone.
What is an Alford plea? Did you figure out what an Alford plea was?
Alford plea?
Yeah. ALFORD.
I think someone asked me that and I probably searched it.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah.
Do you remember? What did you remember?
I don't remember. I just remember something. Because someone was writing that online. So if anyone wrote something online, I looked it up. Just like the other day, someone wrote something about FBI coming or something, and if I see something online, I always Google what someone else said and see what they're saying is matching what is saying online.
Right.
So I did that completely. I do that all the time for everything.
Detective Grusing brings up other searches from her history, which are more than enough to point doubt at Letecia, yet she sticks to her story. The search history was also brought up in Letecia's court hearing and was key in convincing the jury of her crimes. The day that Gannon went missing and the police arrived to search their home, they had found a large blood stain on the carpet and blood spatter all over the ceiling. When the forensic team examined the evidence, their first glances were enough for them to declare that Gannon was likely no more. There was far too much blood and too little hope to begin with. But till the very end, Letecia refused to accept what she had done, and in the end, a long search for Gannon prevailed. On March 17, 2020, Gannon's remains were found under the Escambia Bay Bridge in Pace, Florida, more than 1,300 miles away from his home. His cause of death was determined to be blunt force trauma and sharp force injuries. It was found that he had been stabbed 18 times. Search teams used drones, dogs, horses, helicopters, and divers to comb through various areas of interest, and thousands of hours were spent in searching for him. Letecia Stauch pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity and claimed she had dissociative identity disorder, which results in multiple personalities within the same individual. She claimed that this was triggered due to abuse she faced in her childhood. She also accused her husband of being involved in Gannon's death and alleged that he had connections to drug cartels and sex trafficking rings. However, she was found competent to stand trial by a state mental hospital, and her claims were dismissed by the court as unfounded. On May 8, 2023, after a 2-week trial that included testimonies from Gannon's biological parents, teachers, friends, investigators, forensic experts, and witnesses, Letecia Stauch was found guilty of all charges by a jury. She was sentenced to life in prison without parole plus 156 years by Judge Gregory Werner, who was reduced to tears after seeing Albert Stauch's testimony. He called her actions the most horrific I have ever seen and said that she deserved the maximum sentence that I can impose according to Colorado law. Letecia kept saying she had no motive to take Gannon's life, and this was indeed true. Given how aggressively she had attacked the child, it leaves us to wonder what kind of hate she had for him to begin with, and how much he must have suffered at Letecia's hands while no one was watching. In the end, a very loved son and a kind brother was taken way too soon.
But if you're helpful in our investigation, we can talk to the.
That's what I'm finna ask you now. What
the things you help us with?
Yes.
Listen to me.
Can somebody put something in writing for me?
Listen to me.
Writing,
listen to me. The things you can help us with may be the determining factor if you're charged with homicide or not. I'll be glad to get.
No, I ain't done nothing. But I didn't find out after the fact. But I know.
Listen to me, baby.
And just by I know that much.
Did you tell him you were down and out on money? That he did it on his own to help you get out of that trouble?
I didn't tell him to do nothing.
But did you
we
tell
had a
him
conversation, but I didn't tell him to do nothing.
What'd you have a conversation about? Let us know why he did this for you. Let us know what you said to him to make him do this.
I didn't know that he would take it that far.
Well, you didn't know, but what did you tell him to make him think of something like that?
On September 13, 2014, 50-year-old Vietnamese store owner Phong Trong was murdered. The owner of the TM Food Mart in Pensacola, Florida, was viciously robbed and shot multiple times. When witnesses from the store were questioned, they all pointed fingers at 19-year-old Dontonio Thornton, who had been at the store with his mom, 40-year-old Willie Mae. But the truth was far more sinister than anyone could have imagined. Brace yourself, as these interrogation clips are going to reveal a horrifying story of manipulation with layers of deceit.
I told your son that this don't go away. I said, I'll have your mama in here this week, I promise you.
I was coming in on Monday. I just was going to celebrate my birthday. I was coming in on Monday. I'm fixing to hang my child for something.
Listen to me, man.
And it's killing me for somebody else. But I hate the fact that somebody put me in the middle of something else. If I go down for something I know I haven't done, I got to tell everything I know. I went and just don't get my ticket. I'm looking for the car. He came in and said he was going to use the bathroom, not knowing he was coming in.
Who's he? Okay. Dontonio?
He used the bathroom. So I'm standing there looking for the card.
Outside or inside?
Inside.
In your purse or whatever?
Looking for the card. Standing there talking to him like we talk, like me and the man always be talking to each other. I just seen him and heard pow, and he just fell over. I never even seen him coming. I never saw him coming.
How did you get to the store?
In the car.
You were in the car. Was your son in the car with you?
Yes, I never saw him coming.
Your son, did he come in the door? Did you see him come in?
Yeah, I seen him come in. He said he used the bathroom, but I didn't.
Did he say that to you?
He asked the man where the bathroom was.
Okay. So you asked him, where's the bathroom? And you're probably like this at the counter. Did you see him? Did you feel him go past you or see him? Or
I was still there. I was
still there.
No attention.
Mm-hmm.
Really to just
didn't pay any attention. And then what happened? You just next.
It was
bang. After you heard the shot,
I was standing there in shock.
Okay. What happened after that?
That was it. He started. He said, "Oh." I said, "What did you just do? What did you just do? What did you just do?"
Mm-hmm.
Just like that right there. He just started moving around and panicking, and I'm just still like, I'm like, oh my God.
Now this is your son. What did he do when you asked him what happened? What did he say? Anything like?
Nothing with that. He just so bitches.
So fast.
Did he come up and have words with him, or say, "Give me your money"?
Nothing. That's what is so. That's what doesn't make sense. That's what makes no sense about the whole thing.
All right. And then what happened? What did your son do while he was in there after that behind the counter?
Start just picking up stuff. It was just, I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm in.
He comes out of the bathroom with this stuff in his hand.
And you didn't see that until after the fact, is what I'm saying.
Okay. And you didn't know at any time that he had a gun or tucked to his waistband?
None of this. He went to the store and he told me I had to not to help, because I had to go on with my day like nothing had happened. And the whole time I'm in the panic mode.
Okay.
So at this point in time, he got 2 guns.
In the car?
Yeah. She did that to save her own son.
Yes, sir. But I can tell you that if you let her be the only witness in this case, you're going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
You are sorry.
I'm sorry.
For what happened.
Yeah, I'm sorry for what happened. I am. I'm sorry for what happened. It wasn't my intentions to. It wasn't my plan.
I know it wasn't. You just hard up for cash? Down on your luck?
I was told to do it. She was down on her luck. She came and picked me up.
She said, "This is what we're going to do."
I didn't even know she first came and bought the food stuff from her. She pulled up. I got in the truck. We were riding. And then she started riding up Michigan. She had the gun and the gloves in her purse, but I ain't put on no gloves, though. She came and got me. She was like, she need to get Mr. Terry money back.
Mr. Terry?
Yeah. Her boyfriend, she went to casino and lost his money.
Lost his money?
Yeah. She came to me, we were riding. She was like, she need to get her money back. And I was just like, what you mean? And when she showed me the gun, she was like, she was been planning on it this morning. Then I was like, you really want to do it? And it was my mom. I was just feeling like, But she told me, pulled about the stuff, she was just like, put it in your pants, go in the bathroom, and I did what she said to do.
She said to shoot him?
Mm-hmm.
She said kill him?
Yeah.
Wow.
She said it was either his life or her life.
Your son had said that you had told him you're going to have to shoot that man because he has a gun.
No.
And it's either him or us.
I'm not falling for that. No, ma'am. I'm not saying what you ain't. I ain't falling for that. I didn't shoot nobody.
No, he admitted to
And
shooting.
I didn't shoot nobody.
He admitted, like I said, he admitted
once again,
to
I
shooting.
told you that shot that man, and I did not know. All I saw was that man fall over. No, I'm not going for that.
But you also
He's
took
killing
him
me
away
after
from the scene.
I did do that's
that
my part. That's my part. I did do that. I accept that. I told you that.
Yeah.
I told you that. I accept that part. I did that. I didn't know what else to do at that moment. I did that.
What about the next a week, 2 weeks?
I mean, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know. I'm already in trouble. It's more trouble. Then I still got to say, I saw you shoot somebody. This is a lie.
Other people, since they've heard that basically you're trying to make Dontonio ride this bus by himself.
I'm not trying to make him ride the bus. I got a part because I helped him after the fact.
Okay.
I'm not riding the bus. How can I ride the free pass?
You run the risk, without telling the whole truth here, that he could possibly face a death sentence. Because by his own admission, it was a pre-planned event.
Mm-hmm.
A pre-planned murder.
You can help him in this situation.
And he says the only reason he pulled the trigger and participated was for you. Was for you. his own mom. And that broke his heart more than anything to hear what his own mom had to say about him. He's going to ride this by himself.
Mm-hmm.
What you are looking at ain't nothing compared to what that young boy, he is 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
19 years old.
He's got a baby on the way.
I know everything. Y'all
You'll
tell me
probably
something that I
be
know everything.
out of jail, twist his arm.
What
but
did
you're
you
his
ask
mom.
him to do?
I didn't make it. I didn't ask nothing. It was a conversation. I didn't ask nothing. I didn't ask nothing.
Did you tell him you were down and out on money? That he did it on his own to help you get out of that trouble?
That's what I didn't tell him to do nothing.
But did you
we
tell
had a
him
conversation, but I didn't tell him to do nothing.
What did you have a conversation about? Let us know why he did this for you. Let us know what you said to him to make him do this.
I didn't know that he would take it that far.
Well, you didn't know, but what did you tell him to make him think of something like that?
He said he was broke. I said, well, Mama broke too. I said, I lost all my money playing lottery tickets. Just plain and simple as that. I said, well, I don't know what I'm going to tell Terry for the rest of the week because I don't have no extra money. When I'm out of money, he don't give me extra money. Mm-hmm. That's how the conversation went. I didn't know.
Oh, how did it lead up to this?
You know where he got that gun from? He said he got it from your house. Help your boy. That's all it is now. I mean, because we have enough to put you both away. We just want to know that he...
I didn't know he was going to do that.
Did he say he was just going to go rob him?
I didn't know he was going to do that.
But you didn't know he was going to shoot him.
Did he shoot him because he saw the guy going for his gun?
I don't know about that part. I couldn't see back behind where I was standing. I never knew it was a gun in the store or everything I love. I don't know if he seen the gun when he went there and he just panicked. I don't know. All I know, it was a gun on the counter just laying in front of the man. So the man don't have a chance to even reach for the gun. That much I do know. Okay. But I don't know if he saw it first. Mm-hmm. And knew it changed. I
saw the gun and panic.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
So it was just supposed to be a straight up robbery, not a murder.
That was it.
So y'all didn't plan to kill him?
We didn't plan to kill nobody.
Just supposed to be a couple $100 and
get it. He didn't plan when he killed when that shot. Everything changed. He wasn't supposed to kill nobody. I don't know.
What about, afterward? I know you had said that the bank bag, the gun, the video machine, and the keys, correct? Who did what? Who grabbed what? Because it had to have been quick. It had to have been so fast because you had to get out of there. I know he didn't do it all.
I was running around I was just running through the store. He's like, calm down. Help me find the tape.
Okay, so you went over to the tape machine?
I went over to he said, I found it. And he went to trying to take it. He had a brown bag and he was trying to take the thing off. He got the first box off. When he got the first box off, he passed me the first box and we was looking, and there happened to be another box under the counter that you couldn't take it off, so you had to cut it off.
Who cut it?
I cut it off.
You cut it off. Who grabbed the bank bag?
He got the...
He said he grabbed the guy's gun, you grabbed the bank bag.
If the gun was laying by the bag, I didn't touch the gun.
He said he took
it was a bag right there.
Yes,
I didn't look in the bag, grab the bag. Tony, you're the one that opened the bag up and saw what was in the bag once it was in the truck.
What was
right.
that?
It was money in the bag, but he counted the money. Yeah.
Okay.
On February 26, 2021, 29-year-old Brittany Gosney and 42-year-old James Hamilton stepped into Middletown Police Department. They wanted to report Brittany's 6-year-old son James Hutchinson missing. It might appear as if Brittany was a concerned mother, but she had already gone to extremes for another James in her life. However, the detectives could see right through them. The officers knew that they were not dealing with concerned parents and considered both Brittany and her boyfriend James as persons of interest. This is the interrogation that followed.
Well, he woke me up and because he went looking around first. He said he had come in there several times before to try to wake me up. and he said I didn't respond to any time. So he just went outside and looked around, went through all the rooms, the closets, and all that, and he couldn't find him anywhere. So then the next thing he thought to do was just go around a couple blocks, see if he might be close by.
Did he walk there, or did he drive there, or what did he do for that part?
He drove around.
Okay.
But he came back and woke me up, and he was like, you know James is gone? I was like, what? And I was like, no, I thought he was upstairs asleep. And I even woke up the brother and sister, maybe thinking they might have seen him up, about, moving around or something, and they said they didn't hear nothing, they didn't see him. He's a baby, so
Right.
I'm kind of worried about him.
Well, sure. Yeah, I'll be more than kind of, huh?
Gosney's composure and her being devoid of emotions is disturbingly inconsistent with a parent who has just lost a 6-year-old child. As for her other kids, she refers to them as his brother and sister, and not her children. Something does not seem right with Gosney. But before the end of this interrogation, we will have a theory in place.
He's physically healthy, no
Yeah.
health issues.
No.
Oh, great. Good. Good boy at home?
Yeah.
Pretty good boy. How do you guys discipline him when he does?
Stand him in a corner.
When those, I mean, again, I spank my kids. My kids are grown now, but I did spank my kids. There's nothing wrong with that. Do you spank them? Do you just ground them? Do you take stuff from them?
Well, my son with the red hair, Lucas, he likes playing like video games and stuff like that. Well, the baby doesn't really know how to work the controller and stuff. He tried, but we just make him stand in a corner just for like a little bit to make him know that you ain't supposed to do that.
But you're saying other than that, he's a pretty good kid. As far as like behaviorally, he's a 6-year-old, so I know 6-year-olds.
He has his little fits here and there, his tantrums. I just overlook it.
Right.
Because, that's the only thing you can do. Because, the other ones have the same thing, or they like to throw themselves down to the floor, or stomping, or something like that. But other than that, he's a pretty good kid.
In the room that James sleeps in, there's a pillow in there, and there's like some scratches on the floor. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know. It looks like maybe with a toy, maybe, or something like that.
The kids play upstairs in the room.
Have you ever noticed those scratches before? Do you know what I'm talking about when I say that? You do not?
No, it could have been there when we moved in.
Yeah, sure. I didn't know if you paid attention to that.
I didn't really look at the floors.
Okay.
By stating that he spanks his children, Detective Hoover is using minimization of the severity of the crime. This is to create a safe space for Gosney to disclose any potential abuse inflicted upon little James. His intention is to minimize the stigma surrounding child maltreatment, as he strongly suspects it to be a factor in James's disappearance.
Do you suspect James is doing anything to your baby?
No.
Okay. You're 100% sure on that one?
Yeah, he loves him like everybody does.
For the most part, Gosney seems to be sticking to her story and appears to be protecting her boyfriend James. Police have already discovered a needle at Gosney's residence, suggesting the involvement of drugs. This only establishes to Detective Hoover that Gosney is not ready to open up yet. The next step is to determine whether James will also show loyalty and protect Gosney. While Gosney was being interrogated, James was visibly restless. James appears to be the weak link and seems to be more conscious of the threat he's facing. However, he also has 1 or 2 tactics up his sleeve.
Man, why did this boy have to do this? God, James, why do you do this to us? Come on, I want to get out and look for my stepson. This ain't doing me no good here. I'm gonna have to be out and find him. Come on, I want to go try to find my stepson, man. God, please, let us find him. Come on, I need to go do something before I fall asleep again. I hate being sick. That's all I want to do when I sit around and go to bed.
As soon as the detective steps out, James can be seen performing a little for the camera. The defense mechanism James is portraying is called impression management. He's not only voicing his narrative and concerns for little James, he's also softened his voice to be perceived as less threatening. However, interrogators are trained to recognize such tactics and usually have their own tricks to counteract them. There is one other development at this point. Detectives Hoover and Matt know that little James was in trouble last night, and the information has come from a third party, the other children of Gosney. Detectives can leverage this information to obtain more from the couple, and they'll start with Gosney.
The kid said something about, you guys, what'd you have for dinner last night?
They had pizza rolls and chips.
The kids did? Okay. They're telling me that James had gotten in trouble for something and that he wasn't given pizza rolls, but he was given bread instead because that was his punishment. You remember that?
No, we gave them like lunch meat sandwiches at lunchtime.
And then all three of them, you're saying, got pizza rolls last night? Why would the kids tell me that? It's my experience that the most truth you're going to get out of anybody is from a child. And both I got a 7 and an 9-year-old or 8-year-old almost, or 9-year-old almost, that is telling me that he got in trouble, so he wasn't allowed to have. He had to miss dinner, been given bread and something to drink instead. Why would they tell me that?
I have no idea. They had bread. They had bread for lunch.
Okay.
I don't know if they kind of got lunch and dinner confused.
Okay. Was he punished by not getting any type of food at some point yesterday? Maybe not dinner, but maybe lunch. Maybe that's what they're getting confused. But they had lunch meat sandwiches, you're saying, at lunch.
Yeah. I don't never make them go without any meal.
I know that.
I'd rather go without before them.
I understand what you're saying. I'm just trying to figure out what they're talking about, what the kids are talking about.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Although pizza rolls are far from healthy, food is a basic need and one of the essentials of childcare. Holden's term, food weaponization, could certainly be associated with the concept of using food as a form of punishment or control. According to organizations like the American Psychological Association and the American Academy of Pediatrics, withholding food as a form of punishment or discipline is considered a form of neglect and can have serious negative consequences on a child's physical and psychological well-being.
Sometime after that, Brittany goes upstairs and gets little James and carries him back down the stairs.
Not that I recall, sir.
Not that you recall? Okay. Because Brittany's saying that you were awake when she brought him back downstairs and you guys talked briefly.
I mean, I'm lighter, but I do not recall, sir. I mean,
okay.
When I'm half asleep in that, I
Sure.
remember.
Sure.
The detectives are resorting to a tactic commonly known as creating a rift between suspects to break the solidarity between Gosney and James. By falsely claiming that one suspect is providing potentially incriminating information about the other, the detectives aim to sow distrust and encourage the suspects to reveal valuable information in their defense about the incident. How is that working for Gosney?
Picking him up, taking him downstairs.
You don't remember anything about picking him up, taking him downstairs in the middle of the night? James is pushing this off on you. Okay, I'm going to be real upfront with you about this at this point. I'm getting a story that is totally different than what you've told me, and I don't know why James is telling me that, but that's what he's telling me. Okay, that's part of what he's telling me. Okay, he's wanting more detail than that. Okay, but I'm not going to share that with you. I need to know what happened last night with your boy, your 6-year-old. Or this morning, early this morning. In the middle of the night. Whatever.
I know he said that he had a nightmare
The 6-year-old?
Yeah, but I didn't carry him downstairs or anything.
Okay, who carried him down the steps?
He walked down the steps.
He walked down the steps in the middle of the night? About what time was that?
I couldn't tell you. I didn't pay attention to the time.
That was in the middle of the night?
Yeah, I was more worried about what was wrong with him.
What does that mean?
Like what?
Why he was downstairs?
Why was he downstairs? Why was he awake? What was bothering him? Did he feel sick? Or he had to use the bathroom?
Okay, so he's downstairs, and what does he say to you?
We had a nightmare.
Okay, in those words? Okay. So, me had a nightmare. What did you do? What was the next thing you did?
Just try to sit there and...
Where did he come to? The living room?
No, he went in there and woke me up.
In bed?
Yeah.
And was James in bed with you at the time?
Yeah.
And then what happened?
He come in there and said, Mommy. I don't know how many times he's probably said my name. I'm a deep sleeper.
Okay.
But I was rolling over and I heard, Mommy, Mommy. At first I thought I was just hearing things. And then something told me, like, maybe I'm not hearing things. So I opened my eyes and he said, Mommy, we had a nightmare.
A 6-year-old just doesn't get up and walk out the door, okay? There's more to the story than what you're telling me. Okay, I've talked to James. My partner's talked to James extensively. And James is coming off of this slowly. I would suggest for you, just tell me the truth now. He may have told you more now. I don't know. I've been in here with you. Okay? But James has said, he took a deep breath, and I suggest that to you. Take a drink of your pop, take a deep breath, and just tell me what's going on here. Okay? Stuff happens in life. There's no perfect parent. There's no perfect person. I got very pissed off at my kids many, many times over my lifetime and been aggravated with them to the point where, I could literally choke them out.
I get aggravated with him a lot, but I wouldn't.
Okay, tell me what's going on with the baby. Tell me the truth this time, the entire truth.
Sorry, my anxiety's
I understand that.
off the chart.
I understand that. Okay? And maybe something did happen that you didn't mean for it to happen. But I need to know that.
The monologue from Detective Hoover is a direct application of compliance psychology, a technique that involves creating a high-pressure environment and then offering sympathy and understanding to the suspect in exchange for a confession.
We can get into all this later. Okay? Tell me what happened.
James told me to get rid of the kids.
Okay.
And so I took them for a drive to make them think I'm going to get rid of them, but I'm not going to get rid of my kids for anybody on this planet. And he told me to get rid of them because they were not listening. He was tired of putting up with it. And I kept telling him, like, I'm not going to get rid of my kids. Like, I can take them, give you a break, and for me and them for a little while, take them for a drive, whatever, but I'm not getting rid of them. They're my kids. I will not do that.
Okay.
And I said, if I wanted to do that, I would have gave them up a long time ago. But he kept telling me, either get these kids under control or get rid of them or do something with them. So I tried asking family members to...
So what happened last night? Let's fast forward to that.
We went for a drive. I don't know what road it was.
Okay.
We were just driving around. Well, the kids were going to the bathroom. I had pulled over to this, a little booth.
In Middletown?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little stall or something. A bathroom. I pulled over to the bathroom, and let them all use the bathroom. While it was raining and stuff, I left the door unlocked in the van and told them, we'll all go in here, not all of us at once, but each one of us go in here one at a time, use the bathroom. So we went in the bathroom. Well, I couldn't go in there, but when I went to go in the bathroom, I told them, go ahead and just get in the van. Well, James had slipped and fell because his shoes were wet, slippery, and he had hit his head. And
did it kill him? Is that what you're telling me? Did the fall hurt him?
Well, I asked him if he was okay, he wouldn't answer me. So I noticed he was breathing kind of heavy. And I thought maybe that's not normal. I've never seen him breathe like that before. Well, he was breathing, I don't know how long he was breathing for, but he had fell and busted his head on the side of the van and trying to get in there. And he was breathing heavy for a couple minutes, and then I tried to use CPR, I couldn't get him.
So he stopped breathing. And where's his body at? You're doing good. Okay? Just tell me where his body's at, because I got to go find him. For you. Okay? This is called closure now. Okay? Where's his body at? Would you take it back home with you?
No, I left it.
You left it? So who's all in the car with you?
All of us.
James, you?
Yes, we always
Then
know
the three children.
as a family.
So all 5 of you?
Yes. Well, I left him laying in there on the ground because I was going to call the ambulance, but I was scared, shook up, didn't know what to do.
Okay.
So
now we need to figure out where this is at.
Well, the little boy was laying on the ground. I went to the bathroom, told him to try real quick, because I couldn't hold myself. I told him, you try real quick to give him CPR. And so I went to the bathroom, I came out, he was gone.
Okay. What did the other 2 children say about all this?
Well, they were in the back seat, so they couldn't.
Okay. I'm going to give you a break here for a second, okay? Take it, relax, okay?
Gosney is nearest to the truth at this moment, and Detective Hoover is not ready to back down now. He rapidly questions her, not allowing her time to fabricate lies, and accelerating the process to elicit a confession, in a technique which can be referred to as rapid-fire questioning, or fast-paced interrogation. Although it's certain that Gosney will now cushion the truth with lies to mitigate her involvement in the crime, she cannot be given time to shell up again. Detective Hoover instead extracts as much information as he can that he'll next use to leverage James. Gosney has confirmed little James is dead, but lies about the rest. James might tell them where the body is and lie about the rest.
You guys are up, or she's up at Rush Run. She brings the body home. Does she go back up to Rush Run?
No, she does not.
Okay, this is going to help you tremendously. If I can find this and you weren't there, then if you can help me find the body, then that's going to be huge for you.
Right now, you're trying to do the right thing and help out your fiance. You're protective of her already. We've established that because you were talking about having dirty pigs over, and you don't. And that's what a man does. The man protects and helps. I'm going to call her your wife, but nobody's blaming you for you trying to help her. But,
I'd help my wife. Okay, I understand that. I understand the love that you have for her. Okay, it's not what we're talking about. We really do understand that. So she brings the body home. Is it in the bedroom? And then what happens? Even if you yourself went out totally by yourself and got rid of it, I just need to know where. You're
still helping your wife.
I don't know exactly where it was, sir.
Okay, were you with her when the body was dumped?
Yes.
Okay. If we went out driving, did you take it back up to Rush Run?
We wasn't up at Rush Run, man. He's off the bridge. He's in the river.
Okay. What bridge? Middletown Bridge?
No. Cincinnati.
Down in Cincinnati?
Well, it's the bridge goes from Kentucky to Indiana.
The 71 bridge? Is that 71?
275.
Oh, okay.
Right. Did you bag him up or anything?
No.
So he was in his clothing? Okay. How did you get, what time of day or night is this?
This was about 3 o'clock this morning.
This morning? Okay. What did you do with the other two kids go with you then?
No, they was at home and fast asleep.
All right, so both of you guys get up. We got to do something. And then take him down to Cincinnati off 71, you're thinking?
275, yeah.
Okay, and just throw him, did you go throw him off the bridge or did you?
Hold him off the bridge.
Was it like a stream or was it the actual river?
The actual river.
The Ohio River, the big one.
Yes.
All right, but you're doing good. I know this is hard on you, all right? Look at me. I know this is hard on you.
Now I'm going to jail just for helping her. And she's trying to blame me for this. God damn what she gets me involved with. I'm getting ready to spend the rest of my life in jail for nothing, man. I didn't have no part in this except for helping her.
With this, James is experiencing the prisoner's dilemma. In the context of a crime, it occurs when one member of a group or partnership confesses to the crime, causing the other to feel pressure to confess as well to avoid being perceived as the sole guilty party. This can happen because each individual wants to minimize their own punishment and maximize their chances of leniency by cooperating with authority or shifting blame onto the other party. But in this case, the police have succeeded in making James feel that he was betrayed by Gosney and has only two choices. Either he speaks his truth or takes the fall for Gosney, leading to a painful revelation. What is really twisted is that James looks more disturbed by narrating his story. He's either scared of the consequences or is displaying a guilty conscience. Both these things are dramatically absent in Gosney.
Well, James didn't want to get out of the van.
Right.
I'm talking about the kid.
Yeah.
He didn't want to get out of the van. And he was forcing me, like, you gotta get rid of the kids, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, dude, why should I have to get rid of my kids? Why can't you just go?
Sure. So he wouldn't get out of the van and what happened?
And I told him, because he had to use the bathroom too, told him I wasn't going to leave him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was thinking about leaving him, so I kind of like pulled off a little bit, and James fell kind of down on his knees, got back, went to go get back up, and then just dropped.
Did you hit him with the van then?
No, I didn't hit him with the van.
Okay.
I didn't run him over. I didn't do none of that.
Okay. So he hits the van.
He had the van door slides open.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a handle of the van.
So the door is open?
No, they slide back.
Right.
It's a minivan.
Right.
They slide back. He had the handle of the van, the back door van, on the driver's side. And when I went to go kind of pull off, he didn't have the handle in his hand. It was kind of just like standing there. Not close to the van, but just kind of standing there, holding the van door, trying to get back in. Well, that door is messed up.
Right.
And I don't want to unlock it, don't want to lock. So, I went to go pull off, and James, as I was saying, he fell. Yeah, there's actually a little, not a big glob of blood, but there's like this much blood, or maybe might be even more, where his head had hit the concrete, and I rolled him over, kind of try to help him back, see if I can get him to come back. Well,
did you know he was dead pretty soon though?
At first, he was still breathing. Like I said, he took a couple, like.
Where was he bleeding from?
Right here on his head, like he went to fall down.
Was he breathing out of his ears or his mouth? And if you don't remember,
he didn't have his mouth open.
Okay.
I know he had his eyes kind of like You know how you kind of like sleep with your eyes open,
Yeah.
like a tiny bit?
Right.
That's how he had his eyes.
Okay.
So he was like responding, but I guess couldn't talk.
Sure.
But he was breathing heavy. I don't know how many, I couldn't tell you how many breathing fast he was. But when I was with him, he was breathing still. And I was doing my CPR that I learned how to do and try to bring him back. And I couldn't. So I did it for like 5 minutes, and I knew after 5 minutes there was no getting him back.
So you carry the boy back inside. Had you already contacted James and told him what happened? Okay, by text or by call?
It was a text.
You sent him a text?
Yes, and then he called me, told me to bring him back because he couldn't get James to listen. And James had bruises on him from him hitting him. He's never hit me.
Right.
Ever. But, okay, listen.
Where were the bruises at?
Face, I want to say all over. Cover the hood.
From James hitting your son? Okay.
Trying to punish him, basically.
Did he hit the other two children?
Sometimes.
Looks like she's got remnants of a black eye.
No, he's never hit her in the eye, but...
You ever hit her in the face or nose?
Actually, yes, because he kind of like punches them, like they lie. He kind of either punches them or smacks them in the
When
mouth.
was the last time he punched her? Because that looks like she's got a black eye.
I want to say like a couple of days ago.
Okay. What did she do to get in trouble for that?
Lying.
Okay.
I kept trying to tell him lying not a sin. That's their kids, that's what they do.
Right. Sure.
You'll eventually catch them in the truth later on down the line.
James wanted Gosney to get rid of the kids, and she was on her way to get rid of them. She did abandon them, but little James could not let go of the handle of the minivan and tragically got caught under the wheels. However, Gosney literally cannot look remorseful to save her life. The combination of sociopathy and parenthood forms a detrimental dynamic, one capable of wreaking havoc on children emotionally, mentally, and tragically, sometimes physically, as seen in little James's case. The picture of him desperately clinging to the door as his mother attempted to drive away in the dark of 3 a.m. is painful. On top of this, there were 2 kids who bore witness to unimaginable abuse, abandonment, and the tragic loss of their younger sibling. This singular event, amidst the backdrop of their already challenging day-to-day existence with James and Gosney, has the potential to alter their world and reshape their mental and emotional well-being. The trauma inflicted upon them is so profound that it is likely to result in debilitating conditions, such as PTSD and survivor's guilt, overshadowing their lives for years to come. When the case of little James reached the court, Gosney's initial plea was not guilty by reason of insanity. But post-evaluation, she pleaded guilty to 1 count of murder and 2 counts of child endangerment. On September 13, 2021, she was awarded a life sentence with the eligibility for parole in 21 years. On October 5, 2021, James Hamilton was given the maximum sentence of 19 years of prison time. Detective Tom McIntosh and Detective John Hoover received the Butler County Prosecutor's Meritorious Service Award for their marvelous detective work in a case as taxing as this. When child maltreatment takes place in a single-parent household, more often than not, there's an outsider involved. It's usually a romantic interest of the parent, who either does not feel any attachment to the children or feels like they're an unnecessary burden. Despite having raised his own children in his previous relationship, James did not like the presence of Gosney's children and subjected them to gagging with dirty underwear and keeping them locked in a wardrobe for hours. Gosney herself had tried to abandon her children multiple times in the past. She'd attempted to relieve herself of their custody but failed. In a regular attempt to discipline them, they were subjected to the threat of abandonment or were abandoned for a couple of hours. As admitted in interrogation, James and Gosney hogtied little James and threw him off the bridge, and despite several attempts, little James's body could not be recovered. On March 1st, 2021, a candlelight vigil was held in memory of little James. A large crowd of Middletown gathered to honor the boy who, in his teacher's words, could light up any room with his little presence. Environmental influences theory contends childhood trauma, abuse, neglect, or exposure to violence may contribute to the development of sociopathic traits. Do you think sociopaths are raised by sociopaths and conditioned, or is it passed down in genetic coding? Let us know your thoughts on the case in the comment section. Like, share, and subscribe, and let us know which case you want to see next.